So there's this trend going on Instagram that says when God gives you the ball. Now for normal people, this is motivational. This is hype you up, getting ready for that moment. But my question is, what if you already had the ball? What if God is just waiting on you to lock in and activate it? Hey beautiful people, it is Ariel here for My Healing Prescription, a soft place to land for all things healing. Physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, socially, and financially. Welcome back to another episode of my Let Her Cook, a Pruning Season Series, where God is removing what no longer serves me, quieting my distractions, and refining my character so that I can sustain every single thing that I've been praying for. And again, this is not punishment, this is preparation. And instead of resisting it or isolating myself, you know, the use, I am intentionally choosing to walk through it, and I want to walk through it with y'all. Is that cool? So before we move on to today's episode about diving into what faith without works actually means and looks like, I want to talk about the next phase that we just entered. So we are now in phase 2, and phase 2 is all about discipline, warfare, and alignment. In phase 2, we are learning how to stand firm and keep moving while we wait on God. Once somebody admits where they are, you know, the first step is acknowledgement. The next question becomes, okay, so what do I actually do now? So the point of phase 2 is stability and strength. We are building a solid foundation, not one on rocks, but cement, something firm. So basically, it's time to stop spiraling and it's time to start participating. It's time. So for all of my people who love to dig their heads in the sand and ignore everything going around them, for all the people who, when something goes down, they get a spirit of slumber and they love going to sleep instead of dealing with the problems, all of my people who keep suppressing their emotions and acting like pain doesn't exist. No. That's literally not allowed in this phase. And we can't move forward with that in this next season. So we got to stop that at the door. Okay? So at this moment of our lives, it can look like when we pray, we don't hear nothing from God. It seems like He's going silent. He's MIA. He's nowhere to be found. But what if I told you God is just waiting on you? Everybody keeps saying, oh, I'm waiting on God, but what if God is actually waiting on you to move? There comes a time in our faith in our lives where God doesn't hand us every single thing that we need. Sometimes we have to move using the tools that God already gave us and already instilled in us. And that is how you strengthen your faith in God. So at this point, I want to tell you what faith and works doesn't look like first. Can we be honest? I might hurt your feelings a little bit, but it's needed. So let's move. So for my busybodies, faith and works does not mean getting a 5th job. Faith with works doesn't mean to keep adding on to your endless to-do list just because you can't stand the thought of sitting still or being in silence. It doesn't mean forcing productivity to avoid your emotions or even staying busy for God, all because stillness would require honesty and vulnerability from us. Faith with works doesn't look like grinding to prove that you're worthy of the promise. This is faith, not hustle culture dressed and dripped in obedience. Like God doesn't need you to be exhausted to bless you. He actually needs you well rested. Can we get some rest? Can we get some rest? Because for many of us, we ignore the idea and the concept of rest and that we need to just chill, and we end up calling burnout discipline. We end up calling exhaustion discipline and obedience. Where they do that? Sometimes God even tells you to sit your butt down. It makes you sit your butt down. That's rest. Sometimes when He tells you to sit down, it's time to rest and relax. And faithful works also doesn't mean doing everything when God only told you to do one thing. Faithful works looks like alignment, not overexertion. Not doing too much. I asked you to do this one thing. Like doing all that was cool, but I asked you to do this. Imagine going to heaven and being at the gate and God said, I appreciate everything that you did when it came down to X, Y, and Z. But I told you to do A, B, and C. And you're going to scratch your head and you're going to say, well, but God, I'm trying to help you right now. I'm trying to help. So like I said, in this season, this time around, it requires our participation. We keep stopping in our tracks and waiting on God to move, but sometimes it's time for us to actually start moving first. Like God literally blesses the ones who keep moving in faith rather than being stifled in fear. Like there's literally power and obedience in your movement. Like one small step towards obedience is way better than sitting still and doing nothing. Because in Matthew 25:14-30, Jesus tells the parable of the talents, right? So this is a story of a master entrusting large sums of money to his servants, right? 2 of the servants doubled their money through investments, okay? And dude rewarded them. He was real happy, okay? But that last dude, let's talk about him. Out of fear, he just hid his money. And now in today's economy, hiding your money looks like putting it under the mattress. instead of putting it in a high yield savings account for that interest. Come on now, doubling up your money. So because he hid that money out of fear, did not move, no works was done. He hid, put his head in the sand. Because he did that, he was condemned and deemed as lazy. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I feel like I'm giving my all, I don't want to be called lazy. But that sometimes doesn't work in this season, in different seasons. That looks like laziness in different seasons. So now that you're aware of it, how you gonna move differently? So according to Auntie Google, because you gotta use Google sometimes, this whole parable teaches stewardship, active faith, and accountability. But as a reminder, everyone's works looks different for every single person. So please don't find yourself going around judging people or judging their works and comparing your work to theirs. That's not how this works. Some people's loads are literally heavier because their calling is heavier. And that also means that those people can carry more. So what would normally break other people, they could carry it like a chip on their shoulder and move on. On to the next. Devastation. Okay, some things, God knows. God knows who is on his strongest soldier list. Sometimes I'm upset that I'm on the list, but there are benefits that come with being on a list. What are the benefits? I don't know yet. Working on it. Moral of the story, when it comes with faith and works, move at your own pace, judge your own journey. Don't judge anybody else's, because you don't know what they got to deal with. You don't know what they have to go through. At the end of the day, participation can simply look like, if you trust God, prove it. Walk in it. If you trust that God is going to fulfill the promises that he made for you, walk in it. Walk around like it's already happened. Be the light in the dark rooms. Walk around with that confidence and with your head held high, knowing that God already handled a battle and won the battle that you are currently fighting. That looks like not looking like what you've been through, okay? Also, walking around moping and being sad about the current season that you're in is a telltale sign that your faith is not as strong as you think it is, okay? And so in the next episode, I definitely want to tap into ways to strengthen your faith during this time. This entire phase is going to be about different ways to actively participate in your pruning season. So definitely stay tuned for the next few episodes. This is my favorite phase because I am one who always isolates and who always closes the door, locks herself in, and says, you know what? I'm going to take a nap until all this passes. And it never does. But this is how I know I'm entering into a new season, because of the fact that I'm literally choosing to actively participate in this. Can't wait to see what God is going to do in my life and in yours for watching and sticking through the journey. So anyway, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.